Today I'm going to show you a quick hack to beautify reusing and recycling some everyday items. In this case, it's what do you do when you bring your flowers home from market? Well, Trader Joe's has this wonderful reusable flower bag. It comes in a couple of different colors. I have the black and I have the tan, and I actually use these to bring home flowers from them for a friend who is needing a pick-me-up. And they're great because they are completely 100% recycled material. They will last. The outside is a paper backing, the inside is a plastic, and I wanted to beautify these even more. I love the idea. The idea is beautiful, but the outside can use some help. So join me today as I beautify these flower market bags, and you can take them and reuse them with you everywhere you go.
In this description, I'll have a list of everything I've used in today's video in case you'd like to try this yourself. Let's get the first market bag ready to go. I'm going to be using a simple single stencil with the words Paris Flower Market on it, surrounded by a border. I think it'll be so chic if I have this stencil in white on the black background. This Trader Joe's flower bag is made out of a large weave of almost a paper-like recycled fabric. It picks up lint and fuzzies easily, and you don't want to get this between your paint and the bag, so use your hand or tape around your fingers or use a lint brush to remove these before you paint. Remove the mesh stencil backing and smooth the stencil on the fabric. This is going to be tricky because of the fabric, so press firmly when you smooth and use the tape to hold down your stencil. You may even have to burnish it or use your fingers or objects throughout the whole process of taping this down, as well as during the time that you're going to be stenciling. You can see how tricky just securing the stencil is. Keep at it though. It's going to be worth it. Almost done. There we go. Now, what we're going to do is not use regular paint. Regular paint through mesh stencils would bleed a lot, and so we want a thicker paint. Using gel art ink, it is a thicker substance, a thicker paint that's almost like a toothpaste consistency. So I use a chalk spreader, or you can use a credit card, an old plastic tub that's smooth on the edges so you don't tear your stencil or your fabric. Squeeze a little bit out on the edge like toothpaste on your toothbrush, and holding the stencil with your fingers at a 45-degree angle, you're going to press firmly across the surface. Now in this stencil, I really worked from the center out, and I got really, really good results on this. You can see I'm going to go ahead and press firmly, working from the center out. I get to turn this around as I go. And you shouldn't get a really thick consistency. We're not trying to cake this up on top, but to press through the mesh so that there's a good amount of buildup. So as long as you're consistent with the amount of ink that goes through, and you can see that coverage there, then you're going to have a beautiful transfer. Almost done here. You can see how that's looking. Pretty darn good. Kind of hard to tell with these how much paint goes through because of the amount with the fibers on this. It's not like a piece of wood where it's really, really simple, or a piece of paper or something that's flat. So you really have to work at something when it has a texture like this market bag does. Once you remove your stencil, okay, we're going to take a look, and peeling it back slowly, you can see it transferred really well through there. How's that? Let's get a close-up on that. A couple places where it's not perfect, but I'm not looking for perfection. you want to go ahead and throw that stencil in the water. I kind of cut there just to throw it in the water. You want to clean the stencil before the ink dries and then clogs up the mesh. There's a couple of dots on the white bag, or on the dark black bag, where I didn't want them. Could have come off from my fingers, or I just got it past the tape. But I'm going to take a black permanent marker later and cover them up. So now I'm ready for the back side. And again, I wanted a single stencil. This time it's a royal bee with a laurel around it and the words fleur or flower on it. And I'm going to burnish that onto the bag and tape all over. Really, you don't have to tape normally if you're using this kind of a stencil, the mesh stencil on a flat surface, but it doesn't get great adhesion to this fiber of the recycled bag. So this was kind of a first for me where I really had to secure it down. Again, working from the center, pressing outward at a 45-degree angle and working all that gel art ink in. You'll get a great looking bag. I love the black and white. I don't know about you, but I kept with it on both sides, and I think it's turned out really good. Remember, I'm not looking for pristine, just adding interest and beauty to a plain bag. That looks great. Dry it off quickly again. I wanted to make sure I could walk away and it would be pretty much all done. Once this has dried, I can go out with it in the rain even, and this will not come off. Now, we're going to try this with the next tan Trader Joe's flower bag. Because I'm going to be using a much bigger stencil and covering the whole bag, I'm going to make sure that my surface is protected with craft paper and parchment paper. This time my mesh stencil is a 12 by 18 collage of French handwritten script, single words, and symbols. And after I remove the stencil and position it according to how I want the words and the symbols to be angled, I'm going to press firmly and then tape it on. It's that fuzzy bag that just doesn't want to have anything stick to it. This was probably the most difficult stencil I've had to work with. Again, mesh is going to be better than, say, the Mylar stencil, unless you love pouncing, which I am not a fan of pouncing. So I suppose you could do a Mylar, but I love this. I would never get something with as delicate wording or symbols on it unless it was mesh like this one. Taping it down, and you'll see because of the size of what I'm going for, covering the whole bag, I really didn't burnish well. I guess I was just wrapped up in let's get this tape down and let's get going, that I didn't burnish it, press firmly on that stencil to make sure it was stuck to the bag. So as a result, although I taped around all the edges outside of the bag onto the parchment paper and the craft paper, I did not get that good stick. So here I am putting my gel art ink on, and this time it's in a sage green color. I didn't start from the middle. I started from the outside and pushed in, and the stencil wasn't really sticking to the bag, and so you'll see I get some gaps in here. This means I'm going to have a little bit of bleed through. I'm going to have some areas where the mesh wasn't sticking, and so the ink could get underneath. Overall, though, I think I would definitely do this again. I would start from the middle and work out, and I'd make sure I had burnished that stencil on really, really well. Or done it in small pieces, even though it's a larger stencil. Once I lift it off here, you're going to see that I do have some of that bleeding, but that only added to the bag's charm. So I really didn't freak out, and I went ahead and finished the whole thing. And once I did finish the bag, I went ahead and took it back to the market and had no trouble filling up my bags. These upcycled flowered bags look so much better, and I can now gift them with flowers as a gift or take them time and again to the market. Thanks so much for watching Remade with Love, and please follow and subscribe to my socials on Linktree at Remade with Love. Bye-bye.